Hello everyone, this is the last video where I talk about buffs to the cards and nerfs reverted before Fortune the Barons goes live. Alec Dawson announced the neutral cards this time on his Twitter page. I'm going to talk about whether or not these Unnerfs will help decks in Wild, which is quite possible considering that you can fit neutral cards in 10 times more classes than cards that were already discussed. If you haven't seen videos where I was talking about class card changes, then make sure to check them out too. Undertaker now gains +1/+1 again whenever you summon a Deathral minion. Many people are scared of it, having 2014 flashbacks, but I'm sure it will be too slow for current aggressive decks, as it is very hard to outpace its start gain unless you summon 3 Leper Gnomes from Hunter's side quests at the same time. You will have to build your deck heavily around Undertaker, and the payoff isn't really there most of the time. Leper Gnome is back to 2-1, solid inclusion into phase decks, since this one drop, in addition to be able to deal 2 damage with his Death Rattle, will probably attack at least once in early game for another 2 damage. Its biggest impact will be in toxic reinforcements for Odd Hunter, getting 6-3 Warhorse stats and almost always dealing 6 damage into your opponent's face, while hitting them for 3 damage with your hero power. Knife Juggler is 3-2 again. This is a perfect card to recruit with new call to arms, and I'm sure this buff will solidify my statement when I said that even Aladdin will become a real deck. Arcane Golem has lost 2 health, but gained Chargeback will be an easy inclusion into explosive water decks like Hunter Rock. Paladins don't really need him, since it is attrition based deck compared to before mentioned ones. Bad Luck Albatross is my pick for the worst nerf revert, not because it will be unplayable, but quite the opposite. It is a premium set of 3-drop tech card that will fit basically in any odd deck, Highlander deck, and many priest decks, including the possible ones with Rally. The reason this is a bad change comes from the fact that you mess up with Highlander decks, Spell Hunters, Pure Piles, big decks at no real cost, and the play pattern for any other deck is still very unpleasant when you top deck Albatrosses over and over again. Serenite Chain Gain summons a copy of himself, meaning hand buffs and Shadowwalk effects will be much better. I doubt it will be better than Doppelganger for Shadowwalk Shaman, but it should be interesting for some Kalisaya Felony decks to have a solid 4-drop. The question is if it will be enough is open. Frenzied Felwind has 1 more health, should be a good inclusion in aggressive non-node decks, because 0 mana 3/3 should be good enough for you to run it there. One of the strongest cards of its time, Bone May is back to 7 mana. 7 mana is quite a lot for a tempo deck. Its closest contestant is Fungalmancer, and you would like to run it either with or instead of this 5-drop for fast stats. One of my favorite cards of all time, Archivist Elysiana, now goes 8 again. Sadly, Control Shadowwalk Shaman with Baleful Bankers and Elysiana does not exist in Wild, unlike how it was in Rise of Shadow Standard. The only deck you've seen her sometimes was in a Warrior, and you can't even do that anymore. Fatigue is rarely a problem in Wild, unless you're constantly facing Milrogs and Rhinologs with Tictus. The only deck I can think of you will run Elysiana will be Deadman's Hand Warrior, but it will probably be not more than just a meme. And last but certainly not least, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza gives you 2 0-mana dragons. The problem with her was in Wild that she was basically too slow when the dragons you are getting costed 1 mana. You can benefit from her effect only on turn 10, and it's still partially. Now you can nuke her on turn 9 for a huge swing. She will be back in most Highlander decks, except for combo Highlander Priest. And that's it for this series of videos. I had a lot of fun talking and making videos about buffs to that many cards. I hope you enjoyed your time here too. Expect to see more stuff from me, and if there are interesting topics you want me to discuss, then write them down in the comments under this video, or hop in my streams and we will talk about that too. Have a good one.